All right, so what did you all think about the way the audio and the visual presentation of the movie and how it presented the themes that were part of the movie?
Um, with the opening scene that they have of the view out onto the lake of I guess it's Louise's living room office area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we all notice that there's this significant shape paneling in the middle of in the center of the window, and it's shaped like an H. And off to the side, um, with the way that the scene is framed, there's this tree, and if you look just at the trunk, it's an I. But if you take the trunk together with the window frame, it's an L.
That lake or whatever body of water it is, I love that because one of the final most pivotal scenes with Hannah, they're on the shores of that, and the water often in literature and other arts represents time, represents memory, and so to have Hannah here on this shore of memory, this shore of time, I thought that was very appropriate. And they're playing with animals and talking, and I think playing with rocks in the water and things like that. That was one of my favorite visual elements.
Mm-hmm. I like the visuals of when you see the aliens. They're in this foggy, cloudy, and it's so this visual representation of the confusion of the humans. Like, we don't know why they're here. What do they want?
They're obscured.
You don't see them very clearly, and nobody would even give them a description before they went aboard the ship. Oh, you'll see, they said, and you can see how scared Louise is. Like, she's breathing hard because she's like, what am I going to see? Is it going to be scary? That aspect. And then some of the lighting where you didn't know what time of day it was, and that feeds into the differences in time. And then we talked about the music. It stood out how the music would kind of bookend parts of the film. What was past or future? At first you're not sure, and then what's happening in the middle, and then also the noises, whether it was the soundtrack or it was the noise aboard the ship, that very aquatic sound, like whales and dolphins, and the clicks and the whale song. And also how some of I could pick out specific musical instruments making these sounds, as how it's blending, and it leads to that, it adds to that confusion and disorientation too. It's like, what is going on here? And I thought it was a brilliant way to do that.
Musically, you also pointed out the Richter piece.
Uh-huh.
What's it called? On the Quality of Daylight?
Yeah, on the nature of daylight.
On the
Nature
nature
of Daylight.
Nature of Daylight
is the first piece and the final piece that we hear in the, not over the credits, but in the body of the film itself, which I thought was fantastic because we're coming full circle. We need audio and visual representations of that, and they're definitely there.
Yeah, I thought that was a brilliant way to do that too. These scenes with her daughter, and there again, daylight. You don't know whether that means early morning, later in the day. It just kind of is there.
Because we're saying we weren't sure you ever see the sun in this film.
It could be we don't see the sun in the film because Hannah is the sun.
No.
Yeah.
Something else you were mentioning, as they come into the ship. I thought it was great that we had these shifts of gravity, because gravity is, one of the reasons, it changes the flow of time. And so as they're coming into the ship, I mean, this is the first step in the part of their life that will change the flow of time. Also, then later on, we have the barrier, and it's like, at first, like, Louise is, she's plucky enough to just take her suit off and go up to the barrier and put her hand up, and so she's the first to contact that barrier, and then they show the writing right on the barrier, and it's this two-dimensional space in it, or two-dimensional object in a three-dimensional space, which it's kind of metaphoric because later on she'll cross that barrier and she'll be we'll be seeing her as a three-dimensional character in
Four dimensional.
In four dimensions, right? Because she's readjusting how she perceives time to be nonlinear rather than linear.
Right. Yeah. And I think the whole visual element when they come into the ship the first time, and they're in the hazmat suits, and it's like layers upon layers of protection. And before they go in there, they're given all these medicines and stuff. You see all of that to show, hey, yeah, we don't know what we're going into. And they bring the canary in and all of that, or the bird. It wasn't a canary, but that visualization, like, yeah, if it's toxic, we'll kill this poor little bird.
Right.
But she takes the risk, and it's like through the film, you see her where she's stripping away all these barriers between her and the aliens, and it's like a very good way of showing that they're all scared, they're bundled into their hazmat suits, and then bit by bit, she's stripping that away.
Yes.
And also coming into her destiny, I think, too. And that's just a way of showing that visually. They have several ways of showing that, the changes in her.
Yeah. We were talking about the way her hair flows when she's beyond the barrier, and how it's almost tentacle-like, tentacular, or whatever the word would be for that.
Tentacular.
And it flows more like the heptapods do, or at least the parts of them that you see, the seven-footed or seven-fingered parts.
And I think it was interesting that to make any progress with the language, the heptapods had to be able to see them.
Yeah.